Hi, my name is Mark Honeyman, and this is my home, Valley View. It's in southern Spain, in the Sierra de las Nieves mountains, about 24 kilometers back from Marbella on the Costa del Sol. Uh, I've been living in Spain for 20 years, and for the last 16 years, myself and my wife have been living in this geodesic dome, which you can see behind us. It's a modified geodesic dome. We live almost completely off grid. The only monthly bill we have is our internet connection, and internet's only been available here via antenna for about the last 5 years or so. So before that, we didn't even have that as a monthly bill. Our road is a dirt road. It ends just over there on that ridge. It's about 2 kilometers long. We're the last house on it, and probably the only house that's occupied full time. During the winter, it can get so wet that we can't get out for a couple of days, and even then, you need a 4x4 to actually be able to get in and out. Before I came to Spain, I was in Ireland working as a university lecturer. I was doing secondary rehabilitation and personal training. Before that, I ran an outdoor pursuits centre. Before that, I did some military service. I've been a martial artist all my life. As I say, I bought and sold houses in Ireland and did them up and supplemented my income that way. When I came to Spain originally, it was because I had managed to hurt myself in my work. I was working with some professional athletes, doing a lot of assisted stretching with them, putting myself into positions that I wouldn't have allowed anybody else to, and inevitably, I ended up with a back problem that was just getting progressively worse. So I had to stop, and I came to Spain to recuperate. When I was out here, I started to get a little bit better, and obviously we had neighbours who had things that needed doing, and I started doing some handiwork around the place, earning a very small income from that. And while I was doing that, I met a gentleman who was importing American log homes and timber framed homes and building them here. And I'd always wanted to build a house completely from scratch. So I teamed up with him. I actually went to the States and did a constructor's course over there. I came back and started building these houses. And I enjoyed it an awful lot. And I decided that what I would really like to do to give myself a pension in the future was to buy some land here and build a number of these timber framed homes or log homes, and be able to rent them out so that I have some money coming in as a pension fund as I got older. Unfortunately, the building of timber framed houses and whatever doesn't make an awful lot of money, so I ended up getting involved in what an awful lot of other people were involved in out here, which was property sales, real estate sales. Given that I had a background in lecturing and I've been teaching martial arts since I was 15 years old, so standing in front of a group of people and speaking really doesn't cost me a thought. I decided to try something different and to sell property at seminar. So I would set up seminars basically all over the world and go and sell property. And a lot of companies made a huge amount of money out of that. I didn't make a huge amount of money, but I made enough so that I could buy a piece of land. So I went looking for a piece of land, and I really liked this one when it was shown to me because it was on the edge of the national park, because it was so remote, because it was at the end of a cul-de-sac, because I could walk out from here and walk for hundreds of kilometres in 2 or 3 different directions without coming across other significant town or a city. It's a beautiful area to live in. So I put a deposit on this land and then got somebody in to check it for water to see if I could sink a well, and they tested the whole place. It's 4 acres, a little over 4 acres of almonds and olives, but they couldn't find any water on it. So I let it go and I lost my deposit on it and went looking at other pieces of land. But this one, there was something about this. So I researched and realized that it wasn't the end of the world if it didn't have water. People have been living in parts of the world where there is no well, and they still managed to survive. You can put big tanks in, you can bring water in, and you can rainwater harvest. So I came back and bought it again. So I basically bought this plot twice, or rather myself and my wife bought this plot twice. And when I checked, I discovered that on this piece of land I could build 480 square meters of habitation, which was fantastic. It meant that I could put up a number of dwellings and, secure my old age. This was in 2001, I think it was, about 2001, yeah. So I decided I'd go away and I'd earn a heap of money, and I'd buy all the kits and then I'd put them up here. Unfortunately, between the time I bought the land and the time I managed to put the deposits on all of the cabins, the law had changed here. The land law had changed, and suddenly I wasn't allowed to build anything here. So we went from 480 square meters to nothing, and we'd sunk a huge amount of money into buying those kits and this piece of land. Not when I say huge amount of money, it was a huge amount of money for us. Other people wouldn't have considered it an awful lot, but it was almost everything that we had. And at the same time, we were getting close to the big crash, and we could feel that coming. We could feel that something big was about to happen, and it was going to change our lives dramatically in terms of our income and lifestyle. So we decided that we would make use of an anomaly in the law here, which allowed a temporary dwelling. Something that could be put up and taken down in 24 hours was considered temporary, and therefore didn't come under the strict land laws. And we had a look at the various types of dwelling that we could actually buy, and eventually settled on a geodesic dome. So we bought a geodesic dome as a kit from the States, not realising that by the time it actually arrived here, the cost would have increased by over 50% with all the taxes and shipping and everything else. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So the geodesic dome arrived, and before it, the plans arrived, so I was able to build the base for it. It arrived with the instructions and said, it would take 5 people 10 hours to put up. Well, there were only the 2 of us. We didn't have 5 people. But we did actually manage to construct it ourselves within 2 days. And with the help of my son, we managed to get the cover on. And we moved in, and that was August of 2004. So, to say 16, this is our 16th year here. We made a lot of mistakes, a huge number of mistakes. The first one was that when I constructed the dome, it had a 22-foot by 11-foot bay window in it. And the views here are spectacular to the south, so when I built it, I put that window to the south. This is the south of Spain, so, in August, we ended up with temperatures that were in the high 40s degrees centigrade. I mean, well over 100 degrees, 115 degrees even Fahrenheit. And it was impossible to go into the dome because it got so hot. So then I had to get 15 guys out of the village, unscrew the dome from the base and move the dome around so that the bay window actually faced the back wall. And that cut the temperature a little bit, but it was still very hot. We've had to, a lot of issues that we've had to solve over the last 16 years. And making the dome habitable in the summer was one of them. Originally, when the dome arrived, it was beautiful. It had a beautiful tight cover on it, and it had these porthole windows that you get on boats, and everything was lovely. Unfortunately, the weather here just played havoc with it, and we ended up having to change that cover maybe 4 times. And now it's changed dramatically. We don't have the porthole windows. We've got standard windows, standard doors. I've redesigned the actual structure of the dome to suit our lifestyle. In future videos, I'll actually explain to you exactly what I've done to get it to where it is now. As I say, we've been doing this for 16 years. I know that there are other people on YouTube who live in domes and live off grid. Most of them are relatively new. We've made all of the mistakes and had to solve them. And in those days, there wasn't YouTube to go to find out how you do it. So a lot of it was just trial and error and experience. Unlike a lot of other people who live this type of lifestyle, we're not vegan, and we gave up trying to grow our own food, all of our own food, and we had chickens and rabbits at one stage, and we don't do that anymore. I used the time that this gave me with no bills and being able to sit here quietly during the depression of the mid 2000s to do something I've always wanted to do, which was to learn how to play guitar properly. And I did, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a number of years, until I got good enough to actually start to play at events and charge money for it. And I started doing weddings. So I basically earn my living as a wedding guitarist. I also teach guitar. I have got YouTube channel and some stuff on Spotify or whatever. But my main income comes from wedding guitar. My wife is a hair and makeup artist, and she also specialises in weddings. So the two of us are dependent on the wedding industry for our living. And for us, the wedding industry is not local. It's foreigners coming in, English-speaking people who want to get married in Spain because of the wonderful weather and the fact that it's more reasonable and we've got beautiful venues or whatever. For them, being able to speak to another native English speaker to say what they want makes their life easy. So it's a sort of a niche market for us. We get couples coming to us from the UK, from Ireland, from Scandinavia, from the States, from Canada, from Australia, New Zealand, from Asia, from all over. But it's seasonal, so it runs from May usually through to October, and by October, the weather here is not as predictable, so it tends to ease off, and our winters are relatively free. We're about 2 hours from Sierra Nevada, a ski resort, so we get to do that some weekends. We do a lot of cycling. We have electric bikes and electric mountain bikes, and we do a lot of cycling here. Our electric mountain bikes have only ever been charged on solar. We're very proud of that. But we also need to be earning an income. So I've built a tiny house on the plot, and we rent that out to people who want to come do cycling holidays. And I do some guitar courses, and my wife does some courses as well. She's a life coach as well as being a hair and makeup artist. And in future videos I'll show you that and how I constructed that tiny house. Our lifestyle is unusual. I suppose most people would consider it to be unusual, but after 16 years it's just the norm to us. So composting toilets and having to shift water from one tank to another, having to conserve our electricity use and constantly maintain and upgrade, hopefully, the bits and pieces around here. It's nearly a full-time job. And as time goes on with these videos, we'll show you how we live our life and the choices that we've made and why we've made those choices. I hope you enjoy the videos. I'm certainly enjoying talking to you. The reason that I haven't done this before is because I tend to be quite busy. Right now we're in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown, so I'm not going anywhere. All my weddings have been cancelled for up until August of this year. Same with my wife. So we're we've got the time now to do this. And as I say, I hope you enjoy it, and there'll be future videos on our home. So take care until next time.